Ready for a word.
Thank you.
I receive it. Grab the word. Stay close and watch God move. Stay close and watch God move. Watch this. Oh, it's about to be good. Turn with me, if you will, to 2 Corinthians chapter 12. I want to read into your hearing verses 7 through 9. Once you have it, say, I have it.
I have it.
Listen close. Verse 7 says this, and lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh. Lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. I want you to listen real close. He said, for my strength, not yours, for my strength is made perfect, is made complete in weakness. Let me say it one more time. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. I want to give you part 3 of necessary wounds. Wounds of revelation. Somebody say wounds of revelation. Take your seat. So we deal with the text, and in the text we find it says a thorn given. Say a thorn given. In order for the thorn to be a factor, it must break the flesh. In order for the thorn to be a factor, it must break the flesh. Now, most of us, when we see a bouquet or we see roses or things like that, we know that the stems, if they haven't been shaved off, we know that the stems have thorns, but the thorns are not a threat just because you can see them. See, we see the thorns on other people, but they're not a threat to us. They're not a factor to us. There are other people that have thorns that you can see, but you can't feel. And when you can't feel the thorn, you don't know the impact that the thorn can have on your life. Because the thorn isn't a factor until it breaks the flesh. Notice it's very simple, but do you understand what I'm saying? When the flesh is broken, the wounds are produced. But this particular thorn that Paul is talking about in the text, this thorn acts as a measure of humility. All right. So some of us are beginning to experience things for our own good. You've been calling it an infirmity when it really was a favor.
All right.
Wow.
Oh my God, see, I'm going to get in trouble again.
Okay.
You've been calling it an infirmity when it's really a favor. He has this thorn. He said, lest I should be exalted above measure. Now, Paul we know from other writings, Paul knows who he is.
Yes.
Right.
He says, I'm an apostle. I was a Pharisee. I'm a Benjamin. I'm a Greek citizen. I'm circumcised on the 8th day. I get revelation. I had my moment at Damascus. I had a Damascus experience. I know who I am. And I know what I'm called to do. Not only was I educated from a natural perspective in the ways of the law, but now I've had a spiritual encounter with Christ. So the type of knowledge that I have is a little bit different than even the very disciples that walk with Jesus. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Because remember, the disciples were called unlearned men, not because they were uneducated, it's because they hadn't reached the top level of education for that you would have to be selected by a rabbi to get to, like Paul had. They had went to formal school. He had been formally trained.
All right.
You see what I'm saying? So he's been formally trained, and now he's had a spiritual encounter with God. So the type of revelations that he has, they're different, they're unique. Now, here's the thing that each and every one of you, whether you recognize it or not, you have your own unique revelation.
Amen.
Now, what we let revelation do sometimes is we let it out, what we do, and it's not the fault of revelation, it's our fault.
Come on.
We receive revelation and then we ostracize ourselves from the people who don't have that.
All right.
They got a revelation that you've never even heard of before, but because you have this unique one, you hold on to your unique revelation. And I know God gave me this. I'm not even arguing with you that God gave me the revelation. But don't you make yourself an elitist, and don't you go putting yourself off on people because you got a revelation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't start thinking yourself too high because now you got your revelation. You got a revelation. That makes sense to anybody?
Yes.
So the thorn acts as a measure of humility. It's a safeguard against ourselves. It's a safeguard against ourselves. As we see in the text here, he said, I was given a thorn, lest I be exalted above measure. I was given a thorn. It was like a gift to me almost. I was given this thorn because, truth be told, my ego needs a regulator.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My ego needs a regulator.
Yes.
Because, now come on, some of us found out some stuff, right? We got one good word. Some of us go run and tell everybody about a word that we didn't even get. It wasn't even revelation that God gave to us. It's something that we heard somebody else say. And we run and go tell everybody about this wonderful revelation that God gave us. Now, revelation is for the body. Understand that? Revelation is for the body. But you go hear something somebody else said. And you run and go tell it. And now because the audience that you're in front of you don't go run to the educated audience. No. You run to the ignorant audience. I don't want to talk to nobody here. You don't go take no, like, you're not gonna tell a doctor about a diagnosis.
No.
Because you know they're gonna be like, no, that's actually not what it is. It's actually called this, this, and this. But you go tell somebody something that you Googled, don't want you. You go tell all your friends, oh yeah, it's this condition, and it does this, and it does this, and this does. You don't go tell the one that knows, because you already know that either they gonna know or they gonna really put you in your place. They gonna correct you, right? So we go tell people that listen to us. We go tell people that that admire us. We go run and tell them. We say, look at the revelation that I have. And you poor ignorant souls, let me bless you with my wisdom. Let me, I want to take you under my mantle so that I can train you properly, because wherever you are, it's obvious that you're not being taught in the things of God. That wasn't even your revelation, no. But we'll do that when we got information. Now come on, some of us know that we've done it. Okay, whatever thing that you ran into, you found out that the Easter bunny wasn't real. Oh Lord, have mercy. Now you got revelation. Oh, it ain't real, child. And if you do that, it's a sin, it's sin, it's sin. As if you wasn't walking around painting and picking up eggs just yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow.
As if you didn't come from whatever your tradition was just yesterday. The minute that you find out that your tradition, some of our traditions are useless. Some of them are downright, idolatry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
But you just found out, so now you got to go correct everybody.
Wow. Okay.
Now you're on this pedestal because you're this great learned one.
Still right.
Now, if you do that with revelation that you didn't even get, imagine what you'll do when you get revelation. And some of y'all know that you done did it. You done found out something and you went and told everybody, you just stood up. You don't know nothing about this.
Yeah.
You didn't know nothing about it before they told you.
Thank you, Pastor.
So if you act like that with revelation that you received through a vessel of God,
My God.
how will you conduct yourself when you receive it from God himself?
That's right.
And so, Paul is receiving things from God himself. He's getting this kind of revelation. He's having these kind of encounters. And God's like, I know you, Paul. And if you read Paul enough, you understand how Paul can get beside himself. And so God's like, I've got to give you something to keep you in check. Y'all all right so far? Because what we got to understand is this thorn will keep certain swellings down. Your swell head.
All right.
Your big old head that you got off of revelation from somebody else. You know, you changed the vernacular of it, you changed the articulation of it, sounded a little bit deeper. But that wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? God gave that to you through somebody. It wasn't even, a unique channel that you do have. So if you're doing that, if we're doing that as people who are receiving information from vessels of God, imagine how we would conduct ourselves if we receive revelation directly from God. Some of you, and again, everybody has that ability, but what are you doing with it? Because some of us get revelation of God, or God will show you a dream. God will show you a vision. God will tell you to do something. The minute you got it, oh, y'all don't see God like I do. No, that's why we need your vision. You're supposed to help us out. We help you, you help us. We're all connected. Remember that connected conversation thing? Yeah, obviously you're forgetting about that. Never confuse a connection with the source. Never mind. Never confuse a connection with the source. Does that make sense? Because sometimes we get juiced off a connection instead of the source. That makes sense? So don't confuse the two. We need connections. Say we need connections. As long as they're connected to the source. All right. But this thorn can keep certain swellings down. Text says, lest I should be exalted. So this is a proprietary favor. This particular thorn was Paul. If we study the word, we see that thorn that is used in this text isn't used like this anywhere else in the Bible. This is the only place you'll find it used like that. And it could have meant stake. But it's described as a thorn. But either way, it's talking about something that punctures the flesh. Whatever his ailment is, and there's many thought patterns of what it was. Some people think it was something with his eyes, something whatever. Whatever it was a thorn to Paul. I don't know what kind of infirmity you may be dealing with, but some of these infirmities are thorns. Never mind. Some of these infirmities are thorns. And some of us are getting upset because we keep praying to God for relief of a thing that he's saying, no. And I won't. Will you still serve God when he says no and I won't?
Yes.
Because see, some of us can serve God when he says no, just wait. Oh, come on here, church. Some of us will serve God when he says no, just wait. But how many of us will keep serving him when he says no and I won't?
All right, praise him. Praise him. Think about it.
He's not seeking him for worldly riches. Hello, somebody. He's not seeking him for prosperity and position and power. He's saying, give me some relief, God. And God said, no, and I won't. Will you still serve him when he says no, and I won't?
Praise God.
A messenger sent. So he says that the messenger of Satan to buffet me. The messenger of Satan to buffet me. This is an envoy of assault and affliction. This thing is battering me. Like I said, sometimes to get blessed, you you got to take a beat. And I don't understand that. It's an envoy of a song of affliction, and what's happening is he's bringing false doctrine. He's bringing false doctrine because what is happening here is that God will be telling you one thing, but the enemy will be telling you another thing. And it's funny to me how the enemy gets way too much attention from the kingdom.
My Lord. Amen. Amen.
Oh, we address him way too much. We talk about him way too much. Huh? I know that he exists. I know that he has a certain amount of power, but I serve a God who has all power. So am I going to keep talking about limited power, or am I going to talk about all power? It's your choice. It's your choice. So he hears his false doctrine because the devil's, you know how he says, when I want to do good, evil is always, you know what that is? That's that messenger of Satan that keeps talking to him. And saying, you're not all that you think you are. Cowboy. Remember when you stood in the door and you held those coats? When Stephen was being stoned? Paul? Matter of fact, the enemy probably didn't even call him Paul. Probably called him Saul. Hey, Saul. You know what happened to the last Saul, don't you, Paul? You gonna flake out, Paul? What you gonna do? And so what's happening is he has this thorn, and this message is talking to him. Now the thorn affected his physical. Whatever the thorn was, it's describing some type of infirmity that was in his body. So understand that he's dealing with a thorn that's in his body, but he's dealing with an enemy that's in his ear. Never mind. I say he's dealing with an issue that's a thorn in his body, but he's also dealing with an enemy that's in his ear. We must understand that faith and fiction come by hearing. Faith and fiction come by hearing. The first sin was a product of hearing fiction. Never mind. The first sin was a product of hearing. Before the action ever took place, hearing occurred.
All right.
What did you hear that made you disobey God? What did you hear that made you disobey God? Because they were beguiled, but they had to hear to be beguiled. They had to listen. Here's the thing. The scripture says that my sheep know my voice. Now here's the thing that the scripture was also saying. There are other voices. Never mind. The issue isn't that you've been hearing other voices. The issue is that you've been obeying other voices.
All right. That is good.
I was using an example just last week where I was talking to Elder Stokes, and we're having a conversation, and there were some people having a conversation over here. And I took my eyes off him, because when I talk to people, I like to look at them in their face. You know, I do. I like to, that's my military. I look you dead in your eyeballs. You know? But, so, I was looking at him because he was talking to me about a concerning issue that he had. And, we was having a conversation, and we started talking about other things. And I say, see, here's the thing about it, is that when we're having a conversation, and sometimes we're dealing with God, and we're hearing from God, but then we hear something else. And it's something interesting about what your ears will make your eyes do.
Come on.
Because your ears will hear something. And anytime you try to tell where that noise is coming from, you start looking for it. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me. Anytime you're trying to tell where the noise is coming from, you start looking for it. Instead of looking for what God is telling you, you're looking for noise. And if you look For Lois, just a moment, you'll sink.
Wow.
Peter got out of the boat. He was walking on water.
Yes.
He was doing the very thing God was doing in a fully human form. He was doing the very, Jesus is walking on water. Peter was walking on water. What does that tell you now? Whatever Christ had the ability to do, you have the ability to do. You just got to have enough faith for it. Some of y'all going to receive that and some of y'all are not.
All right.
He said greater things, which means more, but greater things will you do because I go to my Father. He said miracles and signs will follow them. What's following you? We always want to talk about grace and mercy. What about signs and wonders? You're supposed to have 4 things following you. Hello, somebody.
Grace and mercy.
Huh? Goodness and mercy will follow me. What about signs and wonders? Ain't that supposed to follow you too? The only thing that follows you is signs of discouragement. And we wonder where you're going. That's the signs and wonders that we see about you. Where they going this time? Where they at though? You know? So, these are the things that are supposed to be following you. And these are supposed things that we're supposed to be displaying, but we're too busy listening to noise and fiction. The devil didn't have to preach to Eve. Never mind. He didn't have a long conversation because, you know, most of us say, oh, I couldn't be deceived that quickly.
Yes, indeed.
He didn't pull her to the side and, you know, sit her at the coffee table. He didn't wine and dine her. He wasn't, you know, because at this point, some of y'all will catch this, he wasn't even slick. Never mind. He was beasting. Never mind. He was beasting. The serpent is the beast. Some of y'all really get that. He was the most subtle beast before he was cursed, right?
Yes.
Never mind. So, anyway, but he was sitting over there beasting, like, you know, you won't surely die. I won't. But God said. But don't listen to what God said. Listen to what I'm saying. Because here's the thing. The devil didn't tell her, I want you to be like me. He didn't say that this thing was going to make you like me. He said this thing is going to make you like God. Y'all ain't hearing me. The enemy ain't trying to fill your head with stuff that you know is wrong. He's trying to trick you with things you know are right.
Come on. Come on. My God.
He said, because you'll be, in so many words, just like God. You were already made in his image and his likeness. Right? He said, you got conversations with God. You an avatar everywhere you step, light up like Michael Jackson and Beat or whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? Billie Jean rather just lighting up everything, just growing around you, you know? Now you got to do about a toilet brow. I'm telling y'all I'm going to have a conversation with Adam. Get off of it, let it go. Side note, I can forgive people, but y'all got to pray for me and Adam. I got issues, man. But anyway, you heard what God said. You heard what God said. Say, I heard what God said.
I heard what God said.
But then I listened to something else.
All right.
That's right.
Let me move on. Y'all all right now? Faith and fiction come by hearing. Faith and fiction. But what I really want to focus in on here is a grace sufficient. Somebody say a grace sufficient.
A grace sufficient.
A grace sufficient. Grace is sometimes the solution to an issue that won't otherwise be solved. Let me say that one more time. Grace is sometimes the solution to an issue that won't otherwise be solved. You've been asking God. He said, I sought God 3 times for this thing. I besought God thrice that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient. Will you serve God when he says no and I won't? No and I won't. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we have grief and grace at the same time. Oh, come on. Sometimes we got grief and grace at the same time, but we're so caught up in the grief that we're not being pulled by the grace.
Hallelujah.
We're so worried about our condition that we're being displaced from our position. Because you're saying, God, I need you to make, I need this to depart from me. And he says, no, I just need you to go on my grace. Because my grace is sufficient. My question to you is, would you take bodily infirmities to have godly power?
Wow.
That's a private question. You got to answer that one on your own. Would you take bodily infirmities to have godly power? I'm going to take this inconvenience. I'm going to take this nagging pain, this thorn in my side, this constant chatter in my brain, this constant thing saying that I can't do it, this constant thing saying I'm not good enough, this thing that keeps saying that I don't have enough, that I came from nothing and I'll never be nothing. My family wasn't nothing. Everybody says that I'm nothing, and I'm going to be the nothing that I said. Oh, no. I shall not die, but live to declare. Who's doing that one? Like, I hear what you... Look. When Jesus was being tempted in the wilderness, he heard everything the devil had to say. I don't think that you hear what I'm saying. When he was in the wilderness, he heard everything that the devil had to say.
Yes.
You will actually never be in the wilderness alone.
All right.
Never. All right.
Come on.
Never.
You will never be in the wilderness alone. Either you're going to go there to seek God, or you're going to go there to be tested by God.
All right.
The prophet ran to that cave, but God was right there. Huh? He ran to that cave and God was right there. Here's the thing. Remember when I told you that the grace will inconvenience you? How is it that Jesus is acknowledged by his Father in heaven? Is acknowledged that the Spirit of God is upon him by the lighting and the dove that look like lighting upon him, right? How is it that John the Baptist, who at that time has one of the biggest churches in the wilderness, says, no, you that dude.
All right.
I was just holding the place, Father, you got it? How is it all that happened? All that happened. But God was saying, this was your nest. These are all things that have been gathered in your life to this point, but now I got to push you out into the wilderness. Isn't it something? He gets pushed out to the wilderness by the Holy Ghost. Never mind. I said the Holy Ghost will push the Holy Ghost will push you in the wilderness. And you sit here telling some God deliver me. He said no, and I won't. Never mind. You've been in this wilderness and you got to pass this thing. So he's out in the grace has inconvenienced him. And not only is he out in this wilderness with the devil himself, but now he's not eating either. And he's fasting.
All right.
But now his body is weak. His body is weak. And the first thing that the enemy does what? Is come after that body. Let me feel your body. I know that you're going through this ache in your body. Let me just relieve you of this pain. Now, God told me I had to be here for this time.
All right.
But because it's hard and because I'm hungry, let me just eat it this one time. Huh? How did you let porridge cost you your birthright? Esau.
Wow.
let soup, relieve you of your birthright. You were so hungry that you lost your position. You were so looking to what was your body was telling you that you lost your position because you want to feel right. Never mind. But you don't understand how hungry I was. And actually how hungry you was. So he attacks his body, then he starts to tighten his position, he does this, and what does he do? He takes it to a higher place, doesn't he? Says, I can give you all this. If you knew who you were, you would never settle for less. Let me say it again. If you really knew who you were, you'd never settle for less.
Lord. Praise God.
Because the enemy will show you something that you already have.
All right.
I'm just talking about a text. The enemy will offer you something you already have. Jesus is the king of the world, and he's trying to show him, I'm going to give you all the kingdoms. Dude, they're mine.
Hallelujah.
You've been settling for less because of the way you felt in your body. Never mind. I'm not talking about that. But sometimes we have grief and grace at the same time. So I know some of you are going through some agonizing things. Well, God is saying, I'm giving you a grace that's going to supersede your grief. Somebody receive that in Jesus' name. That I'm going to give you a grace that's going to supersede your grief.
Thank you, God. My Lord, amen.
I didn't say I was going to extract your grief. I said I was going to give you a grace to supersede your grief. Superseding does not eliminate. It just goes over. But what the thorn does and what these things do is they cause us to be more dependent on God. Dependency on God solidifies our adoption. Do you understand? Let me say that one more time. Dependency solidifies our adoption. One more time. Dependency solidifies our adoption. Because you got to understand the way that legal adoption works. When you're adopted by God, I don't even want to talk about the world system, but when you're adopted by God, you become his son. Not his adopted son, you become his son. He said we receive the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, adopted Father. Is that how that scripture goes? Whereby we cry, adopted Father. That someone sound the same, would it? No. He said, whereby we cry, Abba.
That's right. Abba.
And if you understand the cultural nature behind Abba, Abba is our equivalent to saying daddy. That means that now not only do I have a father respect for you, but I have a relationship with you as my daddy, the one who takes care of me, the one that, because father is the disciplinarian. Come on now. Daddy is the one that'll get you the goods. Daddy is the one that be feeding you ice cream and stuff. No. That's daddy. Right? Daddy is the one that sneak you away from home and be like, let me get you some goodies. Shh. Don't tell nobody else. This is between me and you. Y'all remember that commercial they had out? Like, don't tell your mom. Don't tell your dad. Don't tell your mom. That's how God is. God is like, I'm going to do something for you. You ain't even got to tell nobody. When God was healing people, he said, look, don't even tell nobody, right? Because what I'm doing for you, I'm about to do it for you. Does that make sense to everybody? But dependency on God solidifies our adoption. Get this, dependents are eligible to receive benefits.
Ooh, amen.
If I'm dependent on God, then I'm a dependent.
Yes.
Now see, most of us want to be independent. Because you know, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. But see, he freed me so I could be a dependent.
All right.
Y'all know how I like to mess with y'all. He freed me to be a dependent. Because if I'm a dependent, then I receive benefits. I don't know about you, but if your father had it like my father had, you would want to be a beneficiary. You understand what I'm telling you?
Come on.
If you understand that he said that I will supply all your needs according to all your needs according to my riches and glory. Not all your wants, all your needs. So you're saying, Father, I need to have this thorn removed. And he said, no, actually you need to have it.
Oh, Jesus.
Truth be told, weakness strengthens our worship.
All right.
Weakness will strengthen your worship. When you feel weak, you will go prostrate. That nigga, weakness, because you're already cringing. So when you feel weak, you're already ready to go down. So you're like, oh God, because I feel this pain, I'm just, for this cause I bow my head. For this cause I bow my knee. I feel this thing. The pain in your body will cause you to go prostrate sometime. So weakness will strengthen your worship. Who would have thought it? Weakness will strengthen your worship. So sometimes we go through things because God is trying to get our attention. And sometimes we go through things because God is trying to use us in another dynamic. Come on now. I said sometimes he's using that flesh to get your attention, like, hey, you're off. And then sometimes he uses that, he says, look, I need you to do this now. I need you to do this now. Well, God, take the thorn away from me. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. A thorn may be necessary. A thorn may be necessary so that revelation does not cost us relationship. Did you hear what I said? A thorn may be necessary so that revelation does not cost us relationship. I'm telling you, some of us, if we got the word from God, and I believe that everybody hears God in their own unique way, he's always saying the same thing, and it's always going to be a kingdom. It's always going to push toward the kingdom, but we get unique perspectives and we get unique revelations from God. But if he doesn't regulate it in some way, we'll go start our own thing. Because the kind of revelation I got, y'all don't have it. So I had to start a whole other organization. I had to bring about all this stuff. I really do wonder, I'm talking about what I'm talking about, I really do wonder if we laid our titles down, how powerful we would be.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if I said, you know what? I know what God called me to be, but y'all ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to call me that. I'm just a brother. How can I help you? I wonder if the body would really do that. Be like, regardless of my position, how can I help you? Oh, I know I'm a prophet called of God, but how can I help you? I know I'm not telling you to be diminished of what God called you to be, but I'm an apostle and God, that's good, but how can I help you? I'm a pastor at the God's on, yeah, how can I help you? Oh, I got divine revelation, great, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Instead of sectioning ourselves out, the fivefold was meant to make a fist, not this thing. Stretched out thing, not this stretched out thing where we create 5 different entities off of what's supposed to be together. But again, because this one catches a revelation, and that one catches a revelation, and the other one catches a revelation, and the other one catches a revelation. This one ain't called revelation yet. So now we like this. And when you do catch revelation, now you gotta go over here. I want you to do something. Take your hand. Take your hand. And stretch it as far as it'll go. Now when you start stretching as far as it go, it'll start irritating in between your hands. The body is irritated right now. Never mind. I said I need you to stretch out your hand as far as it'll go. And that thing will start irritating you. Want it. But if you relax it, the more you bring it together, the more comforting it feels. Let me talk to the whole body of Christ right now. The more you bring it together, the more comforting it'll feel.
Come on.
The more comforting it'll feel. me it'll feel. I'm all such a way. Who knew a thorn would keep me intact? Who knew a thorn was going to keep me intact? Who knew a thorn was going to keep my ego regulated? Who knew that I needed some of the stuff that's happening in my body so that I didn't lose my relationship with him? So that I didn't lose my dependency on him? Because if I didn't have anything to depend on him for, then why would I depend on him? Because you acting like the minute that you, hold on, let me do a test real quick. The minute that you can eliminate the middleman, won't you do it? You will not pay for anything that you can do yourself.
Come on.
Now some of us will, but that's a whole nother issue. But most of us will not pay for things that we can do ourselves. Why? Why? Because I can use that money, that funds, that energy, that currency elsewhere. Right? So here's what would happen if we didn't have to depend on God. We would use our currency elsewhere. You would do it to build your ministry instead of his. You would do it to build your reputation instead of his.
Come on. True.
You understand what I'm telling you? Because Paul was always careful to say like, hey, this is from God. Right? Because I'm not, look, I'm not Pauline. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm kingdom.
All right. Kingdom.
But some of us get twisted because we still fighting over Apollos and Paul and Cephas.
That's good.
Doesn't make any sense. But he said, I gave this to you so that we can keep relationship. Saints of God, some wounds are necessary.
Amen.
Some wounds are necessary. Some wounds are necessary. I've got to be cut off from old places that used to hold me so that I can grow in God. I've got to go through certain procedures so that I can become more intimate with God. And then sometimes I have to have grief and grace at the same time. Sometimes I got to take this thorn in my flesh and this messenger in my ear telling me all this other stuff. I'm not telling you that you didn't hear it. I'm just saying, where's the source?
Wow.
Here's the thing. Did it sound like what God said, or did it sound like who God is? Never mind. Did it sound like what God said, or does it sound like who God is? Because what that serpent said sounded like what God said, but it didn't sound like who he is.
Hallelujah.
Because you'll go with something that you like the way it sounds. So some people ain't gonna like the way that this message sounds. Because this message is gonna prick you. Because for the thorn to be effective, it's got to break the flesh. And I came on assignment to break the flesh. Grace is about to inconvenience you. Revelation is about to wound you.
Yes.
But you'll have revelation and relationship for the price of a thorn. Now that won't sound comfortable and glorious to everybody. That won't sound like something you want to celebrate and run all over God's creation for. But when we gonna stop getting happy about stuff instead of about the power of God? When we gonna start celebrating God for the power? He says this, and I'm not your way for real. He said, therefore, he said, most gladly, therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. I'm telling every believer, you're going to deal with a realm of inconvenience in your life. And for your particular thorn, because everybody's got a unique thorn. Everybody's got a unique thorn. And for your unique thorn, you can ask God all you want to remove it. And I'm going to tell you the answer. No, and I won't. Final time. Will you still serve him? When he says no, and I won't. Can you really say, though he slay me, yet will I trust him? Can you really say, in my weakness, he's made strong? You want your strength, or you want his? Make a decision. Take the cut. Deal with the thorn. Live with the thorn. Agonize with the thorn. But your grace, his grace is sufficient. And it will supersede that grief. You only have to deal with one thorn. He dealt with a crown. And then you know why he did it? Because it was necessary. Somebody say, some moves are necessary. This may be an awkward place for some, but I dare you to praise him. I dare you to praise him. I dare you to